Preparing a sermon is not an easy task. There are a lot of things that you need to do before you can even sit down and start writing. In the Episcopal Church, the readings for any particular Sunday are assigned according to the Revised Common Lectionary, which is a 3-year cycle of readings from the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Gospels. Our preachers are not allowed to choose just any lesson that they might like. The readings are predetermined, and the preacher is stuck, sometimes with an easy lesson, and sometimes with a hard one. Most often, the theme is obvious, and it is easy to see a connection between the various readings. Once the readings are determined, the next step is usually to consult a commentary or two, to find out what these passages of Scripture mean, both in the language that is used and in their historical, social, or religious context. It is usually after doing this background work that a major theme is discovered and the sermon itself begins to come together. With luck, ideas present themselves in a logical order, and the actual writing is completed in short order. Phew. However, it sometimes happens that a dominant idea from one or several readings does not present itself. What then? That is what happened to me as I started to work on this sermon. First, I found it hard to make a connection between the different readings. I finally settled on the topic of faith and started writing. But after about a page and a half, I was struggling to find the right words to say what I wanted to say. They were just not flowing together. And I was getting discouraged. So I decided to put the sermon writing aside for a couple of days and come back to it later. The sermon continued to percolate in my brain for the next few days before suddenly I had an epiphany. Stuff. It occurred to me that what Luke was talking about in his gospel and what Jesus was trying to explain to the disciples was the same thing that George Carlin was talking about in his comedy routine about stuff. Now, George Carlin was a very good comic, in addition to being a wise man and an astute observer of human behavior. I got on my computer and went to that infamous repository of information, YouTube, and found a clip of George's routine on stuff. After watching it twice and laughing my head off, I could see that he was talking about the same thing that Jesus was trying to explain to his closest followers. We all get too wrapped up in our own stuff, collecting it, protecting it, and finding room for more stuff. At several times in my life, I've had to deal with my stuff. When I was first married, I had to learn to live in close relationship with another person who did not know everything about my life up to that time. And that required some big adjustments. When we had a fire in our garage and lost many boxes which were filled with items from my parents' home, a lot of which had memories attached to our childhood, and things that belonged to my parents, I was devastated. That was a lot of stuff that had meaning for me. When I was first divorced, I lost a certain status that had been important to me. And it took me a long time to figure out who I was as a person and what had meaning in my life. Our stuff becomes very important to us. It is, in reality, our treasure. And as Luke's gospel states, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. However much we value the stuff we have accumulated in our lives, that stuff becomes the focus for how we live. But stuff is not just material things, possessions, the things we cannot live without. Stuff is also our attitudes and behaviors, the moral principles that shape our lives, and the ways we relate to people around us. As I stand back and watch the goings-on of the national election campaigns, I see a lot of stuff that just does not seem right or just. When I hear about shootings of innocent people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, I wonder how this kind of stuff takes over in our society. In the baptismal covenant that we Episcopalians make and renew several times throughout the liturgical year, we are reminded to respect the dignity of every human being. To me, this means that we should be living our lives in such a way that what we say and how we act toward other people directly reflects what we believe as Christians. This means putting our money where our mouth is. It means that all of the stuff that we have accumulated throughout our lives, both material goods and intangible ideas, need to be re-examined periodically and either kept or tossed away. We don't need to keep dragging our useless stuff along with us wherever we go, like a bag filled with garbage. I would like to conclude this sermon with something that I found recently on Facebook. It is a prayer written by Diana Butler Bass, theologian and another astute observer of human behavior. This is what she has to say. Spirit of love and justice, the presence that many call God. We sense you. We know you. You are the threads of the polis, the gossamer goodness, kindness, mercy, and humility that binds us into one family. We forget your binding grace when we believe that we are the ones who make history, that we are the ones who control the shape of our gathered life. Truth is, we love power more than we love each other, more than we love you. In a quest for domination and dominion, we do many things we should not. We do not love you. We do not love our neighbor as ourselves. We lie, cheat, steal, insult, mock, and break the hearts and reputations of those whom we believe to stand in our way to power, even when we believe that we will use power for the sake of others. Too often, that quest is a quest to cover our own shame, to succeed at the expense of others. And it is rarely as pure or holy as we pretend it to be. May the revolution that breaks forth be a revolution of kindness, a revolution of awakening to the tender ties of love that we all depend upon for our very existence. We need each other, all our diversities and perspectives, all our passions and joys. May we repent where we have gone astray. May we feel in our deepest hearts the wonder of your being from the furthest expanses of the universe to the faces of our brothers and sisters. May we trust that you intend shalom for the earth. May we contribute to those realities this week and in the coming weeks for the sake of the life of the world. Spirit of love and justice, the presence that many call God, hold us in the web of love. Amen.